Hello, everybody out there on YouTube. We are the Middle-Aged Guys, and in this particular video, we're going to continue through our episodic reviews of all of the episodes of Young Justice. I have a feeling this is deja vu, but yeah, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to cover Season 1, Episode 20, entitled Cold Hearted. Before we even get that far, let's just go ahead and get the introductions out of the way. I'm the Reverend.
The Theme here.
And I'm Grey Mouse 1.
Okay, Season 1, Episode 20 of Young Justice, entitled Cold Hearted, originally aired out in March 10th of 2012. Yes, these particular episodes are close to 6 years old, so we're not going to have any sort of spoiler warning or anything on that, which is a good thing because we're going to pretty much cover three particular talking points after we do a short synopsis of each. We're going to cover what we liked about the episode, what we didn't like about the episode, or what we would change if we had a chance. And also, at the end, we're going to cover what we saw serves as a setup or a reference to something else that's coming down the pike, you know, either in a future episode or future storyline that's coming in the series. All right? The synopsis for this particular one is very, very simple. Kid Flash wakes up. It's on a snowy day. It's his birthday. It's his 16th birthday. And after finding out that his particular high school has declared a snow day, he decides to go over to the cave to go ahead and see what everybody else is doing. Surprise, surprise, they throw a surprise party for him, quote unquote, for the fact that according to them and everybody else, he's only been hinting at this for weeks. So they go ahead and they throw a surprise party for him. And with Kid Flash, the one thing that he wants more than anything throughout this particular episode, well, there's a few things that he wants throughout this particular episode, and it all pretty much points to him being a horny, adrenaline-filled teenager, all right? But what happens is that after cutting the birthday party short, what happens is that Batman, he goes ahead and he calls the cave, and he says, hey, look, we have this situation that's going on. This snowstorm, it's not just hitting the eastern part of the country, it's actually all over the world. And what's causing it is that there are 5 ice fortresses that are in the upper atmosphere that are causing these snowstorms, pretty much putting whatever area that's underneath them into basically a blacked out, you know, freaking blizzard state. So what he does is he tells the team that he needs them to go ahead and team up with the Justice League and that this is going to be their first joint mission. Normally he wouldn't have to do that, but since the majority of the Green Lanterns are off-world, he needs the assistance of as many heroes as he can get. So shortly after he tells them to go ahead and resuit up in their Arctic camo stealth gear, they go ahead and they get ready. He starts handing out assignments, and he tells each of them who they need to go ahead and team up with. After he sits there and he hands out all the assignments to everybody within the team, Kid Flash notices that he wasn't given an assignment, and he's like, "Batman, I'm still right here. I'm still in the cave. No, you haven't given me assignment. I don't know whom I'm going to team up with. Shouldn't I just be teaming up with the Flash to go ahead and fight one of the ice fortresses?" And he says, "No, with all of us tied up, your job is to deliver a heart from a medical facility in Boston all the way to a sick girl in Seattle, Washington, all the way across the country." And he asks, "So who is this girl?" Batman's only response is, "Does it matter?" And thus, he goes ahead and he starts his long run across the country. Okay. Now, his run isn't without episode or obstacle or incidents. He actually runs into Vandal Savage for some reason, who just appears out of nowhere, harassing cops on his route there to the medical hospital in Seattle. And after wasting some time with Vandal Savage, Kid Flash is like, "Wait a minute, what am I doing here? You know, I've only got a limited amount of time to deliver this heart to this young patient. I better concentrate on that." And he leaves to go ahead and concentrate on it. It turns out that the patient that he's trying to go ahead and deliver this heart to is actually the crown queen of Vladivostok, I believe. Let's see here. What's her name? Her name is Queen Perdita. of Vladistok, who actually is the niece of Count Vertigo. All right. He ends up arriving at the medical center in Seattle, Washington. He gets tricked. The heart gets stolen from him. All right. Queen Perdita is still waiting on the operating table for the heart transplant. He gets the heart stolen from him. He recovers the heart, runs into Count Vertigo, thus figuring out that, hey, everything that's happened so far is pretty much to avoid me delivering this heart to this little girl, because if she dies on the operating table or something like that, then Count Vertigo can actually then ascend to being king of the country. And as far as that goes, that pretty much, even though he's a villain, it makes him untouchable. All right, since he is somebody who holds, international power as the king of his country. After a little back and forth and everything, Kid Flash retrieves the heart, hands it to the medical people, and he quickly passes out. He wakes up in a doctor's in one of the hospital beds there, and he finds out from Count Vertigo, who is standing over him, that the queen has actually died during the operation to go ahead and do the heart transplant. All right. After some back and forth, Kid Flash gets him to confess that, his whole purpose throughout this whole thing was to prevent him from delivering the heart on time so that the Queen Perdita could go ahead and die, that he could ascend to the throne. Thus, that was his whole plan, general evil mastermind, evil villain thing, right? Unbeknownst to him, Queen Perdita is actually alive, and she has everything that he says all recorded. It comes out pretty much as a recorded confession of treason. She has the Count arrested, and then that's pretty much how the episode ends up. All right, with Kid Flash learning that, hey, look, no matter what he wanted to do as far as being able to be a huge superhero and fight alongside the other folks in the Justice League and everything else, that his big lesson is that, okay, well, I still do this for the people who can't help themselves. And obviously, regardless of whether or not it was the actual Queen of Vladistok who needed the heart transplant or not, he should have gone out of his way to go ahead and just handled his job, because this is a kid in need. All right. And that's pretty much where we end up. I don't think I've missed anything, have I?
No.
All right. Yeah, because this whole particular episode is very, very Kid Flash centric. All right. That right there is actually going to bring us up to our first talking point. Guys, what in this particular episode did you like? Floor is open.
Not only did you get more centric about Kid Flash, in and out of his head. I mean, if you weren't already familiar with him, you got familiar with him as far as what he thinks and how he perceives things and so on and so forth. But Vandal Savage in action. That, I was like, that was an interesting choice. I thought that was the most interesting choice. Even though I think that the Flash could have ran faster and delivered that heart within, but maybe the shockwaves would have caused the heart to go bad. But those are the two things that I like. But on that note, what the hell is a chicken whizzy?
I don't even want to imagine right now.
Because, again, when he was running, he was seeing a lot of food things, and I was like, what the hell is a chicken whizzy? But anyway, Gray Mouse, what about you? What did you like about the episode?
I think that's more of a chicken hot dog or something. Chicken dog.
Okay, thankfully I can tell you both right now that the Google image search for a chicken whizzy is work safe. So, all right, if you're doing that, you're not going to be surprised by anything, really, really, really off. All right, but go ahead.
This episode, I liked it because, like you said, it was a lot to do with Kid Flash. And we actually, the thing is, what I liked about it too, the main thing I liked about it is that finally Kid Flash knows what everybody else has already known for a long time, that Miss Martian and Superboy is a couple.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of obvious that I thought that they're a couple, but apparently. And what was really interesting was that Artemis was the one who, and I think she got a lot of pleasure out of that, because she said, "Allow me." And that was I was like, wow, that was really funny. But again, one thing too is what I also liked about this, my second point, would probably be Count Vertigo. We actually find a little bit more history on him. He was part of even Kid Flash mentioned that, aren't you supposed to be in jail? We whipped your ass a couple weeks ago or whatever, with the Injustice League. What are you doing, And then it goes back to what you said earlier, Reverend, about the diplomatic immunity.
Yeah. I think with this particular one, as far as it being Kid Flash, a Kid Flash-centric episode, I was very happy that he didn't trip over his own 2 feet under his own accord. All right.
I wasn't going to mention that. I thought that I was going to leave that open for you guys to mention that.
Right. I knew you were going to say that.
Well, he did end up tripping and falling, but it wasn't anything that it was like, all right, it wasn't just him randomly running in a direction, not doing anything, forgetting how to run and breathe at the same time and then tripping over his feet like it appeared he would do in very earlier episodes of the season. All right, so that's number one. Number two, the episode is very introspective as far as showing off how does Kid Flash, how does his mind work when it comes to him thinking about his job, when it comes to him thinking about what happens throughout the day and everything. All right, and yes, part of it does still remind us that he's a dumb teenager, and we're going to touch on that in a second. All right, but this particular episode right here, it turns out to be it turns out to have a very definitive start and end as far as character arc and development. Okay, you have Kid Flash, who's big goal in life, more important than anything, is to be able to sit there and say that he's fought alongside with all the rest of the Justice Leaguers. All right, that he's fought alongside with his mentor, and that he saved the world along with everybody else. Okay, which really makes him kind of lose sight of all the other things that are just as important. All right, especially when it comes to being a superhero and all of that. And it's really typified at the end of him, instead of taking Count Vertigo's sword as the souvenir. Instead, what he did is that he took the biological delivery case. That was a souvenir that he kept for the mission. So that particular part, especially, was really kind of saccharine and sweet in a really sappy way. You were going to say something right there, Grey Mouse?
Yeah. Before you move on to the next topic or the next thing, I wanted to also say that I felt that Kid Flash I felt like he kind of grew up a little bit in this episode.
Yeah.
From the beginning of the episode opening up, and then he realized that the world's bigger than just him, and people need things. It's not all about him, Yeah. And I that's what I felt. You actually saw. I felt like the character actually grew a little bit with this episode.
No. Well, like you said, that doesn't mean that this particular episode is perfect. All right. With all the things that have gone on with that we know Kid Flash is capable of doing, as much as we love him. All right. There's a lot of room for things to happen, which brings up our second point. What in this particular episode did you notice that you didn't like, or maybe you noticed you're like, well, that could have been a little bit different? What would you have changed if you had a choice? Floor is open, guys.
I'm trying to think here because, Kid Flash was everything that we expected him to be out of this episode. Of course, he's a teenager. Yes, he has girls in the mind. The team, and he was just heartbroken about the whole can't have Miss Martian thing. That,
Yeah.
But man, as Gray Mouse pointed out earlier, Artemis was way too happy about just, let me tell him. Like, dang, come on. As you guys pointed out a couple of episodes ago, Artemis is a sore loser. And we another glimpse of that. Like, hey, I gotta lose, you gotta lose too.
Oh man,
she's obviously a sadist. On top of that, I will share my misery. All right, here goes, Kid Flash, all for you.
Yeah. That's all I got for now. Gray Mouse, what about you?
Actually, as I was sitting here listening to what you were saying about what you don't like about the episode, I've been thinking it's kind of hard to find something wrong with this episode. I'm not saying it's 100% perfect, but I felt that the episode was satisfying, that there was a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's really, I mean, even now I'm still trying to sit here and think about what I didn't like about that episode. What, it ended? I mean,
well, was there? Remember that it's also, if there's anything that you thought you would change at any point at all. Was there anything that you'd sit there and change?
Not really, because it had everything. I mean, I felt that it was a very satisfying episode to me. I mean, that's just me, and I'll just leave it at that.
No. Yeah, I think with this particular one, this one is a very tight episode. Some of the issues that I may have are kind of small, and then there is one particular nagging issue that I mentioned a few videos back that rears its head again with this particular episode. All right, when it comes to Vandal Savage going ahead and going out of his way and showing up and all of that, yes, his job was to go ahead and distract Kid Flash. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing Vandal Savage, though, I kind of have the feeling that he could have gone out of his way, stopped doing his best M. Bison impersonation, and just kill the guy, kill Kid Flash if he wanted to. All right, because knowing him as one of the big bads out of all of the Justice League bad guy villains and everything, he is fully capable of doing that. All right, especially when it comes to the younger, more inexperienced heroes. All right. That was one thing. The other thing, too, is kind of nitpicky, but it was all about Wally being Wally. Kid Flash being Kid Flash, all right? First thing that he wakes up, first thing that's on his mind is my birthday. It's also snowing. Wouldn't it be perfect if there's a snow day? Hey, there's a snow day. Well, let me go ahead and show up at the cave. I'm hoping everybody's going to have this fucking surprise birthday party for me, even though, like they said, he's been hinting at it for weeks, all right? Lo and behold, they do have the birthday party for him. And the first thing on his mind is that he's like, I'm going to get some lip action from Miss Martian. All right. Okay. Which, yeah, he gets that all shot down and everything and all of that. But, throughout all of that, like I said, and like Gray Mouse had mentioned earlier, this particular episode, there is a very definitive growing arc, where Kid Flash, Wally West, changes as a person, or as his character by the time he reaches the end of the episode. And that is where I actually have my biggest issue with this particular episode. All right. I remember mentioning back on I believe it was the Failsafe episode, all right, how at the end of the episodes, a lot of these episodes start using what I call the magical cleanup. A lot of people also call it the Deus Ex Machina trope, all right, where all of a sudden something pops out that just was not covered or introduced or even talked about in the whole fucking episode, all right, that just kind of levels things out and fixes everything right at the end, okay? Granted, with the Failsafe episode, yeah, nobody walked away unscathed, but guess what? Everybody was left, even the viewers were left with that whole, oh, thank God, this isn't the end of the fucking series. They aren't actually dead. It's just a training exercise. All right. With this particular one, it turns out, oh, thank God, Queen Perdita isn't dead. It turns out it's all a ruse to go ahead and get Count Vertigo to go ahead and confess things on tape, and let's go ahead and nail him for treason. Which, okay, granted, it's a 22-minute episode, all right, but it just between Kid Flash actually running around and delivering the fucking heart and him passing out inside the fucking hospital lobby, when did he go ahead and cook up this plan? Okay. Now, it's very possible that he could have cooked up the plan and, actually got the information all passed along. He does have super speed, all he needs is like 2 minutes in order to go ahead and set things up and all of that. But my whole problem, coming to the end of the episode is that you're not given a hint of that. All right. Nothing hints at that. Nothing is even said to go ahead and set that up for even that point, and it's like I said,
I thought it was kind of funny that even in the news announced that the Queen was dead.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously it turns out to be like some sort of elaborate plan that at the end it turns out that it is some sort of elaborate plan that they go ahead and get into all of that. But even to get the news involved, mainstream media involved, and it's not like this is back in 2012, it's not like Twitter's a thing right now or anything like that, or they had the motherfuckers from TMZ outside the emergency room or anything like that. Okay. So again, like I said, the magical wrap up. All right. And the only reason why I say this is because since we've been watching these particular episodes so many times over and over and over and over and over again, I see this happening. And it happens a lot, especially in a lot of the episodes that are coming up. So, and it wouldn't bug me as much if they were a little bit better at setting up the episode. I mean, even if it was just like one or two lines that they dropped like a minute or two before the actual ending shows up. But a lot of these times it just seems like, oh shit, things are okay because things are okay, and then they just kind of show it as being okay.
Well, for their defense, though, they've been doing that for years. I mean, ever since 80s cartoons. I mean, it's just a storytelling tool that's been used. It's a trope. I hate saying that word, but it is. Everybody does that.
Yeah, it is a trope.
Ninja Turtles, Transformers, you name it. Whatever we watched as kids. It's always, even before we were born, Scooby-Doo's and the Jetsons, it always ended like we're back to the beginning.
Well, yeah, like I said, it is a trope, but what the thing about it is that some of the episodes are a lot better at hiding it, okay, where it occurs, but it's maybe just a little bit better set up, all right? It's just like I said, for the type of things that I happen to notice, all right, especially since we've been watching these things more than a dozen times, especially, now that we're taking notes to go ahead and do these reviews and everything. It's as one of the things that pops up, it's one of the things that bugs the shit out of me, okay? It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it bugs the crap out of me. And with this particular episode, as sweet and as sappy as it is, the ending does bug the shit out of me, okay?
Yeah, there was time constraints. Yeah. It was reaching the end of the episode. But again, I guess they wanted us emotionally involved to say that, damn, Kid Flash didn't make it. Kid Flash didn't make it. She dies. Vertigo succeeds. And then he ends up confessing every freaking thing. Oh, well, she's alive. Wow, everything worked out. Duh. So I can understand that, right? This is not the first character arc for Kid Flash, though. I mean, he's had a couple of more, especially when he was dealing with Dr. Fate, and again with the failsafe episode. He hasn't totally matured, but he has evolved in a certain way.
Yeah. And, that really does kind of bring us to our third point, all right? Because I was going to throw on a little bit at the end of that, but, that actually works better for our third point. This does, one of the reasons why I do like this particular episode as much as I do is that it does work. It does feed a setup, especially when it comes to Kid Flash for things in the future. What did you guys notice that happened within the episode that acts as a setup or a reference for something that's coming up a little bit later?
Man, Vandal Savage. I think it was just funny how he was just there for, a couple of minutes or so. But yes, he is a part of the light. He was connected to everything that was going on, with Vertigo and everything. So yeah, there was not really much that I can say that's going to happen. And maybe it's over my head right about now. Gray Mouse, what about you?
I would say at the end when Batman and Flash goes to is it Bal? How you say it? Bal-Rev?
Yeah. Yep.
That's a major setup point right there. We already know that the light has an insider. I mean, obviously. So they could stand up. What's his name? I can't think of off the top of my head right now.
Dr. Hugo Strange.
Dr. Strange, yeah. He's already in the light already, but Batman and Flash don't know that. So, and then he showed him like, look, these guys were in their cells the whole time. They didn't break out. I'm talking about the ice villains.
Yep. Yeah. Was there anything else you want to throw on that pile before I jumped in?
I was going to say, that wasn't even the first time that something like that has happened, though.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, because, to go ahead and cheat again a little bit, and as far as references goes, and one of the things that makes this series overall very, very good, especially for the folks who've actually invested the time to watch the episodes ever since the beginning, is that, again, you have, when it comes to go ahead and mentioning these ice villains, not only are they, the same 5 villains that were there from the Terrors episode, all right, but these are the same villains who've been there from the very fucking beginning of the series, all right?
Yep.
So we have this series that, is 20 episodes in, and it's still involving stuff that happened from the very, very beginning, all right? Because one of the things that makes it, like I said, makes this particular series very, very tight and cohesive, all right? The other thing that happened with this particular one is that, of course, we mentioned Count Vertigo in the light and all of that. So we have all of those guys tied up with everything. Vandal Savage showing up and all of that. In fact, I do believe the whole what was it? The Vladivostok thing and the relationship with Queen Perdita actually shows up again sometime in season number 2 on one of the missions, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they do a lot of like sowing the seeds where it's like, no, there are a few details here and there that, remember them, folks, because they're going to pop up again. Maybe not in this particular season, but sometimes they pop up in season 2 also. All right. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it for point number 3. So let's go ahead and close this one out. Like we normally do at the end of every review, guys, on the scale of yay, nay, or meh, what is your particular verdict on this particular episode? Floor is open.
Look, everything happened due to convenience, especially when it got to the end, but that doesn't take away from my grade here. I'm going to give this a yay. Especially, you kind of see slowly but surely evolutions of Kid Flash, and he didn't freaking trip and fall. So what about you, Gray Mouse?
Yeah, I agree with you, Theme. It's definitely a yay for me. I really like this episode, especially since it was Kid Flash centric, and it kind of got us into the character's head, figuratively and physically, So it was very interesting for this episode. And then again, the only gripe that I would have is like the nice bow tied clean up at the end. But other than that, it's definitely a yay for me.
Yeah. No surprise here, folks. He is all around. I'm going to throw my hat in that particular pile. It's a yay for me. Yeah, the only real big flaw that I have in this is that the fact that it's got the obvious magical wrap-up at the end, you know, that Deus Ex Machina wrap-up where it's like, where all of a sudden, hey, look, the hand of God comes down and everything is fine at the end, okay? And literally that's how, well, not literally, but very much that's how it appears. And again, this is not something I would have noticed if this was the first time I watched this particular episode, but I have watched it multiple times. You know, other than that, though, like I said, what we've got, you know, some awesome things going on. They're referencing back all the way to the first fucking episode, which, you know, ties us together with a lot of things. The things that they go ahead, the crumbs that they lay in the trail with the country of Vladivostok, Queen Perdita, Count Vertigo, and all of that. Fucking Vandal Savage coming down from the sky with a double stomp like fucking M. Bison was like, you know, like I said, it was absolute joy for me to see. All right. So there's a lot of things that are going on in this particular episode that makes it a yay for me. Like I said, we've only had one mess so far, and that was only what I would say forgettable episode. And out of 20 episodes, it's a pretty good fucking run. All right.
I just thought it was kind of funny how Kid Flash couldn't call any members of the team when he bumped into Vandal freaking Savage.
Yeah. You think that might be the only exception, right? But again, Kid Flash being Kid Flash wants to show that he can go ahead and take care of it by himself.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, you know, so that's pretty much our thoughts on this particular episode, folks. Young Justice Season 1, Episode 20. The episode is entitled Cold Hearted. Like I said, that originally aired out in March. Let's see here. March 10th of 2012. If you watched the episode and you watched our particular review, thank you very much for watching up to this point. We really, really do appreciate it. We want to know what you think about the episode. What do you think about our particular review? You're going to let us know by leaving us a comment below. While you're at it, if you like this particular video and you think we're worth it, we'd appreciate if you mashed on that like button. And if you really like what we're doing here and you want to see more reviews or more of our random conversations where we bullshit about nothing, I do highly suggest you hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and you'll know whenever we go ahead and drop out a new video on any of our channels. All right. With that, all of our bullshit on Young Justice Season 1, Episode 20, Cold Hearted, ends right here. I am the Reverend.
The Theme here.
And I'm Gray Mouse 1.
All forms of entertainment has the right to exist, even if you don't like it. Credits.
Cool. Awesome. All right. That one actually went a little bit longer than I thought it would. But yeah. All right. What shall be